If you're new here, Guess the Move is a chess contest that's open to anyone on YouTube. You're presented with positions like the one on the screen right now, and you have to guess what move was actually played in the game, regardless of if it was a good move or a bad move. For every position that you guess the right move, you get points, and at the end of 4 episodes, whoever has the most points is going to win. There's roughly $300 worth of prizes at stake for the top 5 participants, including things like digital chess clocks, weighted chess sets, and books. There's a link down in the description below. All you have to do is click on that. It will take you right to where the positions are and you can sign up for the contest. Now in this video, we're going to be going over the positions from episode 1. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be telling you who's currently in the lead. And if you did happen to miss the first episode, I've got really good news for you. Because with each new episode, the questions are going to be worth more and more points. What that means for you is that even if you're joining the contest late, you can still overtake whoever's in the lead as long as you get a lot of questions right. So keep that in mind. It's never too late to join this competition. And by the way, I've actually included a hint for episode 2 somewhere in this video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, before we jump into these positions, I have to cover a few rule changes as well as talk about cheating. So I'll start with cheating because that kind of leads into the rule changes. So there were some very honest subscribers that pointed out that there was a flaw in the way that I had designed the contest. And that was that the positions where the players were over 1600 rated, you could actually just search for the position and find it in the database if you knew what you were doing and be able to figure out what move was played next. So going forward, I'm only going to be using positions where the players were rated less than 1600 so that you're not able to find those positions in the database, and hopefully we can eliminate cheating. And so for those of you who did point that out to me, thank you for your honesty. I really appreciate it. And one other change that I'm going to be making is that going forward, I'm going to be including how much time each player had left on the clock in that particular position. And so you'll have a little bit more information to go off of. I don't know how much that's going to help you, but it's something that you can think about as well. All right, it's time to check out the positions and see how you guys did. And by the way, once I close down each episode and it's no longer accepting new entries, you should get an email that tells you what your answers were. So in case you forgot what you put down, you can check that and it'll tell you what you, not only what you put down, but what your score was. So make sure you check your email if you haven't already. You should be able to see that easily. All right, so here's the first position from episode 1. It's white to play, and the moves that you had to choose from were bishop to g5, queen takes f7, queen takes b7, queen to d3, and knight to c3. So if you're just following along in the video and you want to go ahead and take a minute, what do you think white played in this position? And keep in mind, this was a blitz game on Lichess and white's rating was 722. So for those of you who thought that the answer was queen takes f7 checkmate, you would be wrong. The move that was actually played in the game, queen takes b7. And I know it's a little bit painful to see that, but for whatever reason, the player did not realize that that was just checkmate. So congratulations to those of you who did guess queen takes b7. All right, the next question you had to answer was what was the result of this game? And although white messed up and did not see the checkmate, if we fast forward all the way to the end of the game, you will see, and it was a little bit of a long one, mistakes were made all along the way. But at the end of the day, black lost on time in this position right here. So if you said white won the game, you were correct. Okay, let's go see the second position. Okay, here's the second position from episode 1. It's black to move. Keep in mind this was a blitz game and black's rating was 808. The choices were king d7, king e7, king f8, or queen takes d6. Well, when I first saw this position, I was really expecting the move king to f8. That's kind of like the natural place, at least when I'm playing, where I would move my king to, just kind of slide it to the side, keep it on the back rank. Usually kind of moving it forward is not always a good thing. But this player decided to do king to d7. So I'm not really sure what the idea was. That's the worst place for the king to go. It also leaves this pawn undefended, which allows white this fork if they want it. So not really the greatest place for the king to go to, but that's what this player did. And then the next question you had to answer was what was the result of this game? And despite this inaccurate move, black actually did go on to win the game. If we go forward, you can see what happened. La-di-da-di-da. And after this, white resigned, and I guess it's because they were losing their knight. I don't really know. They still had time left. Not sure what the resignation was about. Seems a little bit premature, but that's what happened. All right, here's the third position. Now, keep in mind, this was a 3-minute blitz game on Lichess, and black's rating was 2205. What do you think black played here? The choices were queen takes e6, knight takes d7, rook a to d8, king to h8, c6, and knight takes d5. So it's a little bit of an interesting position. There's a pin here on the queen. There's some interesting things with the bishop and pawn, and the knights are kind of, attacking different stuff. It's kind of a weird position. But the best thing that black could have done is take the bishop, and then the only way white doesn't lose a piece is by recapturing the knight. And then black can take on d5, and after the queen trade, black is just up 2 pawns. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7 against 5 pawns for white. A knight against bishop, and this is just much better for black because of the 2 extra pawns. So that was kind of the easy way to just get into a good position. But what happened in the game is that black played the move knight takes d5. And I'm not exactly sure what the logic here is, but it's just not as good for black because now white can just trade queens, and you can't take with the rook or the bishop comes back and pins it. And so if you take, let's say, with the king, well, then white can just capture this pawn. And now you only have 6 against 5 pawns, but you've also left white with the bishop pair against 2 knights, and the bishop pair is actually much more dangerous than in the last example where it was just a bishop against a knight. And the reason for that is both bishops can cover the entire board, so there's nowhere safe, right? Anywhere that you put a piece could potentially be captured by one of the bishops, right? But if we go back to the other example where takes, now white only has the dark squared bishop, which means black can just put all their pieces on, light squares like this, and that bishop's never going to be able to attack them. So this is not nearly as dangerous for black as when white has the bishop pair. So anyway, that's what probably should have happened, but that's not what happened in the game. So the next question you had to answer was, what was the actual result of the game? And if we go through real quickly, it was kind of a long game, but after a lot of moves, yada, 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 bunch of trades, white actually was way ahead here, but they were getting low on time. And sure enough, if we keep going, white was getting even lower on time, and they ran out of time. So, white's clearly ahead, obviously, with the 2 bishops at this point, but just lost on time. And here's the 4th position. It's white to play. Again, this was a 3-minute blitz game on Lichess, and white's rating was 2276. And the choices were queen to g3, rook to h3, queen to d4, knight to e4, queen to d2, and knight takes f7. So what move do you think white played next? So this position was interesting because 2276 is obviously a fairly high rated player, and the rook is being attacked here. And white actually had several good moves that would keep the position relatively equal. The best move that Stockfish likes is actually knight takes f7, which is interesting because after you take, it looks like you're just losing your rook. But then you can follow up with bishop takes e6, and you have a very dangerous attack here. And so then the line is queen takes rook d2, you're blocking, and then after knight takes f7 is a black's best move, you end up taking the queen. Really crazy stuff, but it turns out to be very equal according to the computer. So that was the best line. But then also just a move like queen to d4 to defend the rook, or even rook to h3, bringing it over here to kind of line up on the king side, was an okay move as well. But the move that was played in the game, knight to e4, and this is actually completely losing for white. And the reason is this bishop, which was well defended before, the knight was defending, the rook was defending, the queen was defending, is no longer being defended. So after knight to e4, black can just capture here. If you try to take the rook, well, then black just recaptures. They just won a piece. They're up several pawns, and in addition, they have a much more aggressive position, and Stockfish really likes black's position, so that was no good. And then there's also a little tactic here. If you try to take the knight, black has rook takes e4, and if you take it, well, then this guy's undefended, black takes that. And again, in the end game, black is going to be way ahead because they have so many more pawns. Black has 6 pawns, white only has 4, and black's queen is in a much better position. White's king is not doing so well. So white played, not a very good move, although it was a very tough position in a blitz game, right? A 3-minute blitz game, very tough position to calculate through all of those different things. But that's the move that was played. And then the last question you had to answer was, what was the result of this game? So I'll just go ahead and show you what happened next. Black actually did take on c4 like we just kind of analyzed. They traded, and white tried this move knight f6 check, trying to create the discovered attack here, but black simply takes it. And again, we get this endgame where they're just way ahead. Traded off the rooks, traded off the queens, and black just has so many extra pawns. It should be a pretty easy win. And if we go forward, sure enough, we can see black had the queen, and here white just resigned. So black did win the game. Okay, so we've looked at all the positions, and now the moment that you've really been waiting for, who's currently in the lead? And speaking of being in the lead, if you actually hit the thumbs up button on this video and write a comment, you'll get 5 million points added to your score. And wait, no, sorry, you won't get 5 million points added, but it does let me know that you're enjoying the series and you'd like to see more videos like that. If nobody hits a thumbs up or leaves any comments, then I just won't know, and I might just assume that you don't really enjoy this kind of thing. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, it does keep me motivated to make more videos like this. Here we go. Let's see who's currently in the lead. All right, I have a spreadsheet that keeps track of who's in the lead for me. It'll keep tallying up the scores from each week. Before I show you that, I just want to mention we had 1,325 people participate, and here are the top 10. Let me bring this over, and there you go. 600 is the maximum score. We had one person who had a perfect score. So congratulations, whoever this is. You are the only one. And then also 550, only one person. And then 500, we had, okay, five people tied. And then 450, these are I think there's more people with 450, but this is the top 10. So congratulations if you are on this list. Now, as a reminder, if you're not, or you didn't do well on the first episode, remember, each week, the episodes are going to be worth, the questions are going to be worth more and more points. So you can certainly catch up as long as you're doing better on the next episodes. All right, well, that about sums it up for episode 1. Remember, the link for the next episode is in the description. Make sure you go down there, and guys, use the same email address, because if you use a new email address, it won't link and it won't match up with the scores that you already have, and you'll lose those points. So make sure you use the exact same email address going forward. But thank you all for participating. I will see you in episode number 2. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, I'm going to be trying to post these on Monday and then close them off on Saturday. So that gives me some time from Saturday to Monday to analyze the data, create the video, all that good stuff. But what that means is if you don't do it by Saturday, you'll probably miss your opportunity to participate. So be on the lookout, do it sometime either during the week or maybe like Saturday morning would be a good time. And then I'm going to be closing them down. Okay, thanks for participating, guys. I'll see you in episode 2. Well, if you made it here, congratulations. This is your hint for episode number 2. But in position number 2, which I'm showing on the screen right now, for episode 2, my hint would be that sometimes lower rated players have a hard time understanding the value of pieces. Good luck.